Hey everybody, this is Tom from Geek for Life here. How are you? So yeah, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite cartoon series of all time, The Peanuts, created by Charles Schulz. This was normally called Little Folks back in the comic strips, but due to the fear of copyright, it was advised that they would give him the name Peanuts instead, based off a group of children in the Howdy Doody show, rather than, infringing upon other copyrights such as Lil Abner or even another comic strip called Little Folks. So yeah, Schulz had to change the name, and he hated the name. He said the name Peanuts has no dignity in this comic strip, and his characters have a lot of dignity. So to this very dying day, he hated the name Peanuts. Also, it's always nice and funny to watch him in interviews, Charles Schulz, and when they talk about the name Peanuts, he will straight up say, yeah, I hate the name. It's an awful name, and there's no positive deal coming out of it. It's a crappy name. I hate it. So yeah, there we go. Let's talk about Lucy Van Pelt. I love the fact that this character exists. She's definitely a staple into the Peanuts world. And at the same time, I hate this brat. She's definitely very mean to Charlie Brown, from moving the football, from every time she encourages him to kick it, to really just giving off poisonous advice, but we'll get to that in a sec. From being mean to Charlie Brown, to bullying her brothers Linus and Rerun, to even giving some of the other playmates a lot of crap, and even the one-sided unrequited love to Schroeder, who Schroeder absolutely despises, mostly because of the way she treats people, especially Charlie Brown. It's a very hard character to really appreciate. Hopefully in this video I could say otherwise. But anyway, moving on. It was even a quote by journalist Christopher Caldwell: "Lucy's no fuss budget. She is the American nightmare. A combination of zero brains, an infinite appetite, and an infinite self-esteem, who is for that reason able to run roughshod all over her playmates. At her best, she is the most terrifying character in the history of comics." It's funny too, because when she runs the psychiatric booth charging people for her poisonous advice, though like any person who's obnoxiously abrasive, she assumes that she means well. It's often a reminder of knowing that there's always that one person who constantly gives in their 2 cents, and us as the viewer would rather shove a pencil in our ears than to hear such nonsense. From the self-righteous person at Sunday school to the smug douchebag at a get-together, Lucy Van Pelt is very easy to dislike. Okay, believe it or not, there are some good qualities of this loathsome character. 1. She loves her brothers. On It's a Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, Linus, who is at the point of obnoxious behavior and optimism, would rather skip trick-or-treating and Violet's Halloween party to stay at a pumpkin patch, awaiting it being known as the Great Pumpkin. It never happened. This embarrasses Lucy to no end, but she not only asks for extra candy on each house when she goes trick-or-treating because the extra candy is for her blockhead brother, but at the end of the night, where she realizes that Linus is not at home, in fact not even in his bed, and still in the pumpkin patch, she goes out, she escorts him to bed, she dresses him up for bed, and makes sure that he's asleep before she goes back to her own bed. Now that's a big sister for you, That's definitely something I can definitely give kudos to. Also, her brother Rerun. I never really seen Lucy go after her brother so much as Linus at least. There's an episode where Rerun gets kicked out of school, suspended for a day before, the Christmas holiday, because of the fact that Rerun tells like a joke, a harmless joke, but the school calls it sexual harassment, and they both agree that they're idiots. Yes, we had jackass adults back then too. Also, there's an episode on the cartoon series during the 70s where Lucy is so desperate to get Schroeder's attention that she even tries to set up a piano debut for him, just to show that she could be nice, that she can genuinely be caring. It doesn't exactly work out as much, but it does prove that she does try when she can. And I'm sure there's more qualities with the other Peanuts characters and stuff. But let's talk about her deal with Charlie Brown. I've already mentioned the football bit. But on a movie, A Boy Named Charlie Brown, she starts off typically awful to Charlie Brown, including a musical interlude with her and the Mean Girl trio, herself, Violet, and Patty Not Peppermint, angrily encourages Charlie Brown to go to the school spelling bee, basically just ridiculing him until Charlie Brown finds a way to say, hey, I'm good at a spelling bee, let me do this one. And he does become champion of the school. This impresses Lucy to the point of being his manager. Not only is she encouraging Charlie Brown to keep going, but she gets really pissed off when Charlie Brown said, hey, I only did it just to show you guys that I can do something good. Lucy's like, this is the beginning, you need to keep going. You know, that sort of thing. So she's great to have when she's encouraging. Also, I kind of thought about this one. Growing up, when you were like 10 years old, or at least from this boy's perspective, girls, especially at that age, especially someone like Lucy, if they found out that you had a crush on someone, those typical girls would tell that girl, mostly to kind of have gossip, conversation, and to see the destruction of this whole downfall of the boy's hope. Either that or I'm just getting personal. But Lucy did not do that to Charlie Brown, believe it or not. You know, especially in regards to the little redhead girl, she just typically kind of stepped aside. She didn't like go out of her way to be abusive about it. She didn't tell him that he's an idiot about it or anything. Well, maybe, but I mean, like, she didn't go out of her way to tell the girl about this, you know, to try to destroy any chances. So, yeah, that was definitely a cool move on Lucy's part, you know. Now, personally, I don't like this character. I believe her particular personality is certainly a bit toxic. However, I do see her maturing up later on. I feel that she would either date someone, piss him off to the point where where the boy would really lay some truth bombs on her, and not show any fear about it, by the way, and she would respect him to the point of owning up to her shortcomings. This would remind herself of why Schroeder rejected her so many times, and she would possibly be earning the psychiatric role that she often thought about when she was younger. Finally giving herself the knowledge and wisdom of years of her previous shortcomings to the passion that would finally give her, that would no longer be toxic, you know, her advice, thus earning her role and profession as a psychiatrist. Well, that's hope. Anyways, that's kind of my thoughts on Lucy Van Pelt, and yeah, feel free to throw in some 2 cents on that one, pun intended. But yeah, what do you guys think? Hopefully, you know, I'm able to put more characters in eventually, but until then, this is Tom from Geek for Life saying, be seeing ya.